In today's video, we're gonna go over how Instagram is now on easy mode and anyone can blow up in 2026. And the only thing stopping you from blowing up is that you haven't even watched this video yet. So let's dive in on everything that you need to know on how to not be left behind in this brand new year coming up to finally blow the fuck up your Instagram account. And by the way, in case you didn't already know, my name is Ayush Swami, and I'm a content marketer that has generated over 135 million views in the last 6 months and 1 million followers for all of my clients. So I kind of know what I'm doing, so let's dive in. Instagram has changed their algorithm time and time again, but what has not changed is the human psychology that for whatever reason, people just don't want to understand. And that's the rules for the game for you to win. And if you just focus on human psychology, then all of the content that you make will always perform, and you won't be scratching your head wondering, why is everything that you post just continue to flop? The people that are winning on social media, they're creating content for their audience, while everyone else that's complaining that they can't grow on social media, they're creating content that they want to create. And that's where they're messing up. And you combine that now with poor execution on content, the format, the poor hooks, and even the poor quality of the video, well then no wonder Instagram is actually on hard mode for them. Now, what does it mean to make a video for your audience and not for yourself? Everyone that comes to me with this issue has this stigma that they need to make videos that they enjoy making, and that's true. You can't make videos that you're gonna hate, but if you're the only one that likes that topic, then why would someone else care to watch your video? And this is the biggest problem that people have. So instead, you need to understand who your videos are for and solve their problems, because that is what it means to have valuable content. Valuable content solves problems, and that's what it makes a valuable video, because then people will want to share and save your content, and that is how you inevitably grow your page. And that's what makes people value someone's page, because they'll want to now subscribe and continue to return, learn, refer their own network to your page, because you're constantly providing free value in a service fashion. It's solving problems that people need answered. That is what it means to provide value, unless you're entertaining. But most people, they value education over entertainment. And let's take, for example, that you're a fitness coach. If all you do is shit on people because they're fat, they need to be motivated to stop being fat, why would your page be valuable? I think we can both agree, if you make your page about shitting on people and you think that your form of communication and content and marketing is motivating and just shitting on them of like, they're such a lazy ass, whatever, blah, 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 and you're not giving them actionable tips and advice that they can actually implement, then your page, all you're doing is criticizing people. They're not going to feel safe. They don't want to come to your page. You're just putting people down all the time. So instead, give people some different tips and tricks on how to actually lose weight. Giving form critiques, meal recipes, meal swaps, exercise tutorials, just some topic that is genuinely helping solving these problems on a day-to-day basis that they have. Stop trying to motivate people and just start helping people solve their problems today. And another way to look at this is just think, how is this video useful for somebody in this given moment? And if the only thing that can be answered for your video is motivation, well then that video is dog shit. We need less motivation and more problem solving. And now that we understand what it means to make content that is valuable, something we gotta address that unfortunately is a big negative con in the space is how easy it is to literally blow up on social media. And there's a new trend on value-based content is dead. And well, kind of, sort of. It's dead because unfortunately a ton of us in the space has now recognized it's as simple as stealing a piece of content and unfortunately verbatim stealing the script. And it works time and time again. And while this is continuing to work, we are now in a trust recession now, because a lot of people have caught on. It's almost like, who was the original creator? And lucky for you, because you're watching this video, you will stay ahead of the curve, because if you don't make value-based content now, what are you going to post instead? That motivation shit that you were thinking that would help, because last time we looked and talked about, like, you're just criticizing people thinking it was going to get them to do what you wanted, but it doesn't. And I don't think it's ever going to work. So now what if we take motivation and combine it with value-based content? It's called storytelling. Now, this is going to be the biggest game changer in 2026 to help with this trust recession. The people that are just unlocking this steal the script and I'll go viral method, they're going to be left behind, because we're smart enough to realize this trend will just continue to ruin trust and authority, blah, blah, blah. And it's smarter to now start adapting our own personal experiences to now teach the same concept. Here's the easiest example for us to look at. A basic generic hook would be, here are my 5 best supplements to take in 2026, versus, this is a more storytelling version, if I could only take 5 supplements for the rest of my life, here's exactly what I would take. Now, what's the difference between both of these hooks? For starters, if you're just saying, here are the 5 best supplements that are the best to take in 2026, it just feels like a blanket generic statement. It doesn't feel as valuable than somebody saying, if they could only take 5 supplements for the rest of their life, then these would be the ones that they would take. Do you see how that makes such a huge impact in what we're trying to communicate? Here's another example. Here are the 2 best scripting tools that you need to use to get your first viral video, versus, in the last 4 months, I took 4 clients clients from 3,000 followers to over 200,000 followers. And there's 2 scripting tools that I use to do so. Do you see how I told a little bit more of a story in the personal experience one here again? Now let's look at another example to drive this all home. How do I get rich as a Christian? Versus, is it possible to be a true Christian and get rich all at the same time? Now with all these hooks, do you just see how there's just a little bit more life to them? This gives it more of that personal touch that has more substance versus how these hooks used to be in 2024 and earlier, which leads to the next question. Will these regular viral hooks still work in 2026? And probably, but your delivery has got to be good. And the key to maximizing easy mode is adapting to the change and playing more on your story within your hook. And that has a problem that we're bringing to awareness for your ideal viewer. This is your opportunity to stand against anybody that's trying to just go viral and steal a script verbatim, because it's easy to get views and it's easy to get followers when you get a video to crack the algorithm. But it's not as easy to actually build a real connection with your viewer and authority, because if all you did was crack the code with your content, it's not going to last long. The new true code to 2026 is applying the same principles that even I teach still today. It will continue to on value-based content in order to crack someone's organic. But it's also to start implementing your personal experiences, because that is the small tweak that does so much powerful work on its own to connect with your viewers on a new level. But here's the crazy part with all of this. It's not a hook that's going to make your Instagram grow. The idea is actually the most important thing beyond the hook. You can have any viral hook in the world and nail it, but if the idea is shit, well, you're now just going to always have a video to flop. No viral hook is going to save a poor idea. And so now how do you know if a video idea is super hot? Well, what are the most common things that are evergreen that people are constantly asking about? The easiest way to know that is if you go to Reddit or Quora.com or even Google and seeing what are the top questions in your niche. When you see them popping up regularly and most recently, that is the way to understand this is the topic to create content on, and even paying attention to trends on TikTok and Instagram. What are your competitors creating all the time? Is there a repeat topic keep coming over and over and over again? We can still pinpoint the whole concept of a video idea and recognize, that's why that video popped up. But now in 2026, what we want to do is try to alter it with a storytelling feel. The only difference between the two is that when you get an idea, such as how to increase your bench press, instead of saying, here's the ultimate way to grow your bench press in the next 30 days, talk about how I could never bench 225 and I used to get made fun of every single day at football practice. But then I found the ultimate hack to grow my bench press that immediately skyrocketed it to over 275 pounds. That gave a more storytelling experience. It gave more relatability. And you can now say the same thing. You're just saying it with different words. But one thing that will not change is the fact that we have the 5X rule. It's always 5 times the views of that person's account. And you can even get even more nitty gritty and really ensure that video idea is good by trying to see if the video has at least 10,000 likes. If you go even further like that, you are really trying to ensure this video idea will hit. And now it's something that hasn't gone away is the fact that having a unique format, whether it be a green screen or a skit, or even my storytelling style as a cinematic storytelling video filming, having a signature style will always stick to people, feel relatable. And it's going to be a granted validity in order to show people know like what you represent. And a lot of people will follow you simply due to the fact that they like your personality in that style. And that's where a lot of people screw up their audience. And what I find is that people are always jumping around because what they want to do is they want to optimize for their views to go up because they've never gotten a video to hit. But what they're not understanding is that more that they jump around, it ends up causing people to be confused. And viewer safety is something I teach inside my program Onyx and Slate. But in simple terms, it's exactly as I have said. How do we get our viewers to feel safe to sign up to our Instagram? This is done by creating content that's obviously valuable, but also predictable, because we don't want people to feel thrown off. We don't want people to feel like they don't understand what they're going to get every time. And we want to stick to at least 1 to 3 formats max. And when you start to see one really performing, then you can make the decision to see if you can double down on it more or sprinkle in other formats so we can optimize for consistency. Because look, our main goal with a unique format is to make sure it's our signature style that we're known for the biggest follower growth. Otherwise, if we just jump around, not only do we create more anxiety for us, but it's also harder to maintain a more balanced schedule for our content strategy, because this is not the only thing we're probably doing in our business. So it's best that we figure out a way to keep things sustainable. And along with content formats, we also need to understand the types of content and their roles. Most people don't take into account, and it's very vital that if we want to go viral, then we make growth-based content. But like I spoke about generic scripts pretty much being the carbon copies that we don't want to keep seeing anymore, but we will. Now we need to have a form of connection-based content, which I like to call the storytelling, but it's middle funnel content. And the 3 types of content that you need to keep in touch with is always having a top funnel, a middle funnel, and a bottom funnel. Without getting into super detail with all of this, all you need to understand is top funnel will grow, middle funnel will nurture, while bottom funnel you're gonna sell. And as long as you take all of this into consideration within your content strategy, you'll know which levers you need to pull at that given time in your weekly posting cadence. That way we're optimizing for growth because we need to focus on that right now, or we're optimizing for sales because that's what we need right now. It all just depends on where we're at. But at the end of the day, we need to prioritize trust and safety to grow our audience ethically. Now, here's the last thing that's going to be the biggest game changer for 2026. And that's that a lot of people have not caught on to it yet, but more room for us to grow because those are the people that are going to stay behind, right? If they continue to stop trying to grow and get better at this. Carousels are such an undervalued and underrated format to grow on Instagram. And because no one actually knows how to use them, Instagram has been pretty confusing on how and what to do and use, etc. with Instagram Reels, because they started talking about non-followers versus followers. And the easiest thing for all of us to believe is just focus on Instagram Reels. And that's the problem. They never came out and actually told us it's possible for carousels to actually blow up and reach non-followers. And as long as we actually understood the format and how to make it go viral. So if you want to make your account on Instagram pop off in 2026, start leveraging carousels in a how-to format. How-to formats is the simplest way for a carousel to pop off. And here's my example. I made this carousel right here, and this is my first real one, and it did really well. Look at these insights. It's insane. The key to a how-to is to make sure you're not making it super boring. You have to make it a screenshotable guide. And that means it's like an actual true guide where every slide feels like you actually could screenshot it and refer back to it, and it's super helpful. That's what separates a carousel that actually pops off and one that flops. And when you start to see one take off, that's when you'll start to see your analytics really push it to non-followers. And that's where the majority of us are probably unable to see, because we post a carousel that bombs because it only gets pushed to followers, and that's just how they designed it. But it's crazy. The trick is to make it screenshotable. And here's the neat part to all of this. Any of your short form reels and your carousels can be interchanged amongst one another and also be created into a long form video. I'll get into the YouTube part in a second, but for any of your current Instagram reels that have already popped off, or vice versa for your carousels, you can literally just make it in the opposite format. Because if it did once well, because remember, it's always the idea, then why wouldn't it work in the other format? It all just goes back to your execution. So obviously we're talking about Instagram being on easy mode, right? But I do have to put out this golden nugget that if you're also not making YouTube videos to utilize the performance of your carousels or your Instagram reels that have performed, you're doing a disservice to not only yourself, but to your entire business, your audience, etc. Because we also want to nurture our audience. It takes about 7 hours of true watch time from somebody to fully get trust with you. And the easiest way to build trust is getting a long piece of content and having people watch that. If you don't know what to make, we'll just recreate a short form or a carousel that popped off and just add more substance and depth to that long form video. And just like that, you now know how to take your Instagram and grow finally on easy mode. And I believe it's honestly the easiest time to grow on social media, and specifically on Instagram, because your personal brand, it's not that difficult to grow once you know these rules that we've gone over. You're not behind. You just need to understand the pure foundations. And if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you for tuning in. And if you got super overwhelmed and confused with all of this and you're like, damn, this is a drag, I don't want to do any of this, then I invite you to book a call with us. The link is in our description box. We'll just do it all for you. Seriously, it's a lot of damn work. But if you want to focus on the bigger levers in your business, then you can trust on us to just do it all for you. So if this is something you're super interested in, we'll love to talk to you. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.